What is up, beautiful people? I am your host, Stephanie, on Stop Driving, Cruise Control, and Take Control. First, I want to thank all of you for returning back and tuning in. Last episode was kind of a ramble, but it was a bit of an insight on myself and how I got into depression, how I made my bed. Well, today I want to start off with this season as a series on the different types of depression. And yes, I said different types. Not many people know that there's more than one. From some research I've done, there are about 9 different types of depression, so we're going to talk about number 1, which is major depression. This depression is fairly common. Roughly around 16.2 million people have experienced one major depressive episode. One thing about the depression, which all have in common, is the way it brings you down. The way you talk about yourself and how you consider yourself worthless, garbage, unloved, lonely, dumb. All these negative talks about yourself is the biggest common denominator in depression. Major depression can last anywhere from a few weeks to months or even years. And I know you're all probably like, well, duh, Steph, of course it's depression. It's going to last long. But with major depression, it comes and goes like your money flow. So you could be in your favorite vacation spot or happy with your family at a dinner table, eating at some event, and then boom, it just literally hits you. It takes over you, unwelcomed, uninvited, and you just went from taking that comforting first sip of pina colada on that beach or making the old joke with the family that's been attached to the history for years to now, I want to go back to my room. I don't even want to laugh. I'm surrounded by people, but I don't feel loved. Why am I even here? So we're going to talk about the symptoms that brings that out of us. It's like a freaking light switch. 1 minute we're good, and then all of a sudden we're down, and we don't know why. So when it comes to major depression, there are several symptoms, which are common in the 8 other depressive disorders, but they're different at the same time. With major depression, we're talking about 11 different kinds of symptoms. And we're going to start off with despondency, which is grief, feeling lack of faith and hope in yourself or in others. And honestly, who can't relate to that? Because I think we all can, even people who don't have depression. Everyone has had at least one bad day happen a few times in their life where you lack any kind of hope and faith, whether it be within yourself, your job that mistreats you, your relationships, friends, family, your partners, maybe even your kids if you have any. But the difference between those one in a blue moon days, for those who don't suffer from depression, know how to feel their feelings and let it go and start brand new the next day. They tough it out that day and they start brand new. But for people with depression, like myself, we can't just tough it out and let it go. Trust me, we try and we want to so bad, but how we feel about ourselves, we don't see ourselves as worthy enough to make better. And then there's hard time sleeping or sleeping too much. And it's crazy to me how depression can make you feel so drained and overwhelmed and down about yourself that you can be physically, mentally, and most definitely emotionally drained, that you still can't even sleep. That for sure I can relate to. During my state of depression, I was in between. I either got all the sleep in the world or I got no sleep at all. And I got no sleep at all for weeks, and I'd be depressed even more and now cranky and moody because I haven't slept, so my body is now aligned with my mental and emotions. By being so drained and tired, and so many thoughts of negativity would come upon about myself and how I don't deserve to be here and I deserve the way I am right now. No one understands me anyways. Life is draining. Why do I exist? Why do I still wake up every morning and try when I don't deserve to? And at the end, it just makes me feel like the world is so useless, crappy, and besides me feeling unworthy, everything else is unworthy to me. And then there's the oversleeping part, which I've also experienced for myself and through friends who suffer from this as well. We sleep all day to avoid ourselves. I'm going to say that again. We sleep all day to avoid ourselves. And I hope you really hear me when I say that. In other words, we dislike ourselves so much. We're so over our own thoughts about ourselves that we sleep to avoid ourselves. Sleeping with the enemy? Can you imagine being that enemy? So when you have a friend or a family member or a partner that constantly sleeps all day, please do me a favor. Don't make them feel worse. Don't call them lazy. Don't talk down on them. We're already talking down on ourselves, so please keep your negative version of them or me to yourself. Instead, check on them. Call them, show up to their house if you have to. Even if it's just for 15 minutes of sitting there, dude. Like, show up. Be there. We may push people away with our attitude, with our disgust. But honestly, knowing that there's another body around, it can be very comforting. I mean, of course, we still feel alone. But it helps in the slightest bit. And that's all that matters. That it slightly helps. And then there's lack of energy, fatigue, which ties back to number 2. Lack of sleep or too much. On top of sleeping too much, to avoid ourselves, we sleep too much because we have no energy. Our thoughts consume so much of us that we just have no time or room for feelings of anything else but ourselves, and this is draining. Even for the people who don't sleep, it can be very draining. Even for the people who don't get enough sleep, we lack energy because of our consumed thoughts and now no sleep on top of that. Imagine, I'm sure everyone has experience at night with no sleep. Now do that and talk down about yourself and let me know if you have any energy the following day. So we're going to talk about loss of appetite and overeating. And man, when they say comfort food, they are not lying, because with my experience, I was definitely the overeating. I found myself in the kitchen munching on everything and anything. Well, I'll raid the kitchen and then bring the food back to my room and eat in the dark alone. Ashamed, because now not only am I depressed and alone, and no one loves me, checks in on me, or wants to be with me, but now I'm all that and fat because food, just food. Then I've seen through old friends that go through the not eating stage. They will literally be so hungry and talk about how they want to eat, but they just can't stomach the fact that there's food in front of them, and every time they tried, it would be like 1 or 2 bites, and then that's it. And there's no explaining that. There's no understanding that part as to why or how you could be so hungry and then there's food in front of you and you just... Well, I guess there is that lack of energy. They don't have the energy to do it. They don't have the energy to completely fuel themselves. And then you have unexplained aches and pain. And I honestly don't know how to take this one, because I've been feeling pain for so long, I done became numb, sorry. And that's rod wave. And this to me is a physical, it's a physical thing for me, and emotional and mental type of thing for me. You know, you feel body aches. I mean, being in bed all day and then getting up can physically cramp you up. But I also see this as an emotional thing because my heart's been broken so many times, from myself, from relationships, from relationships that I've latched onto, family members who've done me wrong. So this goes both ways for me. Either way, it sucks mentally to put yourself in a shitty situation, and now you physically feel it. Like I said earlier, it's your body aligning together. So your mental is hurting? Okay. Now your emotions are going to suffer. Now mentally, emotionally you're hurting? Okay. And your body's like, I hear you. Now I'm physically hurting. And when they say your body is a temple, take care of it, they mean that shit. How you treat it is how you will feel in all aspects. So the minute we start fixing our mental thoughts, our body will follow with it. And we're going to get to that later on in these episodes as well. And we're hopping on to number 6. Loss of interest in pleasurable things. Now this right here is definitely something to relate to, because before depression hit me, I used to love writing poetry, music, drawing, and playing basketball. Literally, you could just say one line and I could come up with a whole verse for you in 5 minutes. That's how much I love writing. But then when depression slowly crawled in, I found myself writing shorter poetries, darker ones at that. I found myself not caring to finish it. I'll come up with a fire line in my head, but wouldn't bother to write down anymore. I was lacking that interest. I was lacking that energy. The same thing goes for basketball. I've always had a basketball in my car, and if I had time to play, no matter where I was going, I'd pull up to the first park I see with a court and play ball for a bit. But then depression came, and the ball became so flat, it's still sitting in my trunk. But that's what depression does for you. That's what it ruins, the things that you once enjoyed, and you just don't see a purpose in it anymore. And then you lack concentration and memory problems. I like to call this one zombie mode. Have you ever carried a conversation with someone, you're physically there, but mentally your thoughts are going 1 million miles per hour, and it's all horrible thoughts on yourself kicking in, anxiety. Mentally you have this person in front of you. I'm sorry, I messed that all up. Your thoughts are going so fast, and you're just like, where am I? And there's somebody in front of you literally having a deep conversation with you, where they're talking about their great weekend with their family and how they're doing good with this, that, and the third, and you're just like, well, what were you talking about? You just can't concentrate on anything but that thought of how unworthy you are and why your life sucks so much and why do you even bother. And then there's the memory problems, not remembering where you put things at. And no, it's not because you're too high, it's because you're too clouded in your thoughts instead that our body's on cruise control and remembers a routine that you're on, so that when you're set on something, when you set something on a new spot, or you put something down for a quick second that normally doesn't belong there, and your body doesn't recognize that, you don't remember because you're on cruise control and you're not in control. And once you get out of these thoughts, once you become one with yourself and start working on yourself, these memory problems, this concentration, that will all go away eventually. I mean, of course, there are people who are happy, who lack concentration sometimes, but, it's different. They know how to bounce back from that. And then there's feeling worthless or helpless. Literally in every symptom listed above, I mentioned how our very thought is feeling this way. No other way to explain it. It's just that we feel so unworthy of our own time and anyone else's that we just don't care. We don't care. So we rather hurt the people around us because we don't feel worthy. So it's like, we start thinking that everybody's against us instead of working with us or trying to help us. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everybody out there is an angel and that everybody is trying to help you. There are people that are just pure bad, but when you're just down by yourself, even the people that are good, you push them away. You push them away so hard, you either push them away or you take advantage. And I don't mean take advantage in the good thing, as in, oh, they're here to help me, so let me take advantage of that. No, it's you use them, pretty much. You use them. So, for example, me. I use a lot of my partners to fill that void for me that I couldn't fill myself. The happiness that I was looking for, or someone to just show a little bit of love and gave me a little bit of attention. I'd use it until I feel like it wasn't good enough anymore. And then I ignore them and hurt them when all they were doing was trying to care for me. Then that worry and anxiety kicks in, which also ties with everything else. Constantly worry about things we need to do, but we'll never get to them because our bed is better than anything else, which brings in the anxiety. So all three together is a great ass whooping. Don't we just all love a great ass whooping? And now that was only 10, because the 11th one is a deeper issue. It's a pretty deep issue. And I'll soon get to that in just a few minutes. But for right now, I want to explain how those 10 symptoms are extremely common in the other depressions. The thing that separates major depression with the others is the fact that it comes and goes. It doesn't last the rest of your life, or majority of it. It can last weeks, months, up to a couple years, but goes away for a while and then returns. Another thing that separates this from others is that it happens to those who have literally everything they dreamed of. They could be a famous person with all the money, all the cars, all the people that surround them that love them. Everything they ever wanted in their life. Growing up, how they had all these dreams for themselves and they accomplished every single one of those dreams. But yet at the same time, it still feels like something's missing. So that depression kicks in. And it lasts for a while. And then they snap out of it. Then they're back to being happy, or so they think they're happy, until that depression comes back. And that's one thing that sucks about major depression. It makes you look bipolar. And it's like, not only does it make you look bipolar, but like I said, it usually hits those people who have everything they want in life. So you have people who don't have the things that they want in life, and they see you so happy, so enjoying your life, and then all of a sudden you're sad, and they look at you like, why are you sad? You have everything you need. And it's now like, oh, I don't want to help you, or oh, I feel bad, we should help this person. But it's more of, they're greedy. Why do they want more? And it's like, stop that, because at the end of the day, that's a person, and they have emotion to be there for them. And that's another thing, is that people just like to talk about people bad ways and just make situations worse for them, not really understanding and not really knowing what's emotionally and mentally going on inside with them. But let's get into serious number 11. The thought process of this emptiness and upsetting feeling of not being worth anything leads to suicide. First off, for my fellows that are in this thought process, the people who are suffering right now, don't. I want to let you know right here, right now, being here, listening, is a first step, your first sign that you're trying and you will succeed, and you are someone. You are worthy. You are loved. I love you. You're so much more than that emptiness you feel inside. And no, you're not alone. You are not alone. And I'll say that again. You're not alone. You have it all in you. You have the potential. You have the light in you that's just ready to shine. You just have it dimmed right now. That's it. But you will shine. Just keep holding on. Keep on pushing. And finding the tools you need to help yourselves out of this. Whether it's listening to this podcast or finding something else, you will pull through this every step of the way. Stay strong. And again, you're not alone. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, you're loved, you're amazing, you're beautiful, and you're beyond worthy. I'll be here for you guys every Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if you have any questions, or you just need someone to talk to, need more advice, feel free to shoot me an email at strengtheningsteph@gmail.com. Or you can direct message me on Instagram, which is strengtheningsteph. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and also remember, you're not alone.